Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling what many call the minoxidil dilemma in hair restoration.
It's a big one.
Yeah. It first popped up kind of accidentally back in the 70s as a drug for high blood pressure.
Lonatin, that was the one.
Right, Lonatin. And then this side effect, hair growth, led to Rogaine, the topical form, getting FDA approval in '88. But now the oral version is making a real comeback.
It certainly is.
So our goal today is to help you sort through this. Topical versus oral minoxidil, looking at how well they work, safety, and what it's actually like to use them.
Okay, before we jump into comparing them, could you maybe break down the basic science? How does minoxidil actually get hair growing? I hear it's a prodrug.
That's right. It's fascinating, really. Minoxidil itself isn't active. It needs to be converted into minoxidil sulfate.
Okay.
And that conversion depends on an enzyme, a SALT1A1. Now, with topical minoxidil, this has to happen in your scalp.
Oh, right there at the follicle. Exactly. And we now know many so-called non-responders just don't have enough of that enzyme activity in their scalp. It can be genetic.
So it's not that the drug is bad, it's just not getting activated properly for them.
Precisely. But oral minoxidil, well, it sidesteps that whole local issue.
So
it gets absorbed into your system, goes to the liver, which has plenty of SALT1A1, gets converted efficiently there, and then it circulates to the hair follicles. Consistent activation, basically.
Got it. So once it is activated, what's it doing? I know it's more than just one thing.
Oh, yeah, it's multi-pronged. It's a potassium channel opener, which seems to boost microcirculation, getting more blood flow to the follicles.
Better delivery of nutrients and oxygen, presumably.
Right. And crucially, it helps extend the hair's growth phase, the anagen phase, that initial shedding some people get, the dread shed.
Yeah, people worry about that.
It's actually a good sign, usually. It means the minoxidil is pushing out the old hairs to make way for new, stronger ones by resetting that cycle.
Okay, science makes sense. Prodrug, needs activation, extends growth phase. But the big question, how do they compare in actual results? Topical's been the go-to, 5%, usually better than 2%. How does low-dose oral stack up now?
Yeah, that's the key question. There was a really important study published in JAMA Dermatology in 2024. They compared 5 milligrams of oral minoxidil once a day against the standard 5% topical solution twice a day in men.
And the verdict?
Well, interestingly, they found no overall difference in hair density improvement between the two groups.
Overall difference, huh?
But, and this is a big but, there was a really crucial nuance. The oral minoxidil showed a statistically significant and, importantly, clinically meaningful greater improvement specifically in the Vertex area.
The crown.
Exactly, the crown. We're talking 70% of the men on oral minoxidil saw improvement there versus only 46% on the topical.
Wow, 70 versus 46% for the crown is.
Yeah.
That's quite a difference.
Yeah.
So does that mean if your main concern is, say, a receding hairline, the oral might not be dramatically better than topical, given that no overall superiority?
That's a very fair interpretation, yes. It suggests that while both work, the biggest advantage for oral might be in that vertex or more diffuse thinning pattern.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's talk practicalities then. Side effects, daily use. What's the story there?
With topical, the side effects are usually right where you apply it. Scalp irritation, itching, maybe some redness.
I've heard propylene glycol is often the culprit.
Often, yes. Switching to a PG-free foam formulation usually sorts that out for most people. You can also get some accidental hair growth on the face if it drips or transfers, but systemic absorption getting into your bloodstream is very low.
Right, and oral. Obviously, that's going systemic.
It is. So the effects are systemic, too. The most common one by far is generalized hypertrichosis.
Which is?
Unwanted hair growth, maybe on the face, arms, back. It happens in about 15 to 24% of people, seems to depend on the dose, and importantly, it's reversible if you stop the medication.
Okay, unwanted hair.
Yeah.
What about more serious stuff? It was originally a blood pressure drug.
Good point. At the low doses used for hair loss, cardiovascular effects are pretty rare. Things like maybe feeling a bit lightheaded, some mild fluid retention, maybe a slightly faster heartbeat. We're talking very low percentages, like under 2% for most of those.
But there are risks.
There are. A very rare but serious potential risk with oral minoxidil is something called pericardial effusion. That's fluid building up around the heart. It absolutely underscores why you need proper medical screening and supervision before starting, and while taking oral minoxidil, it's not something to take lightly.
Definitely not. Okay, so beyond the clinical data, there's the whole patient experience thing.
Yeah.
Adherence, right? Sticking with the treatment.
Oh, hugely important. And this is where oral often shines.
I can imagine. Applying a topical solution twice a day, making sure it gets on the scalp, not the hairs, waiting for it to dry. They could be a bit of a chore.
Exactly. People talk about treatment fatigue. It's real. Compare that to taking one small pill once a day. The adherence rates and just general patient satisfaction tend to be significantly higher with oral minoxidil.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And what about access and cost? Topical is over-the-counter, FDA approved. Oral is.
Oral for hair loss is technically off-label. It requires a prescription, but paradoxically, the generic oral tablets are often much, much cheaper. You might pay, say, $20 for a couple of months' supply of oral.
Compared
to maybe $20 or even $30 per month for a brand-name topical foam. So cost can definitely favor oral, even with the prescription need. So at the end of the day, it's not really about finding the single best one. It's about finding what's best for you.
A personalized approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Team Topical might be best if you're just starting out, maybe a bit cautious if you have underlying heart concerns, or you really want to avoid any systemic side effects, or perhaps your thinning is mostly just at the front.
Okay. And Team Oral?
Team Oral could be a really strong option if you've tried topical and documented that it didn't work well for you, a non-responder, or if your scalp gets easily irritated by topicals, or, frankly, if convenience and sticking to the plan long-term is your top priority. And, as that study suggested, perhaps, especially if you have that diffuse thinning or noticeable crown involvement.
But always with that medical check first.
Non-negotiable. Cardiovascular health screening is essential before starting oral minoxidil.
Right. So, wrapping this up, both topical and oral minoxidil are clearly effective tools in the fight against hair loss. Yeah. Your own situation, your tolerance for potential side effects, your lifestyle, these are what should really drive the decision.
Well said.
And it's worth mentioning, for many people dealing with typical pattern hair loss, androgenetic alopecia, the sort of gold standard approach often involves combining minoxidil, either topical or oral, with something like Finasteride or Dutasteride.
Those are the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors tackling the hormonal side of hair loss.
Exactly. So armed with all this info, you're now much better equipped to have that informed chat with your doctor or dermatologist. But here's a final thought. As we get better at understanding our individual biochemistry, how close are we, do you think, to a future where maybe a simple genetic test could tell you not just if minoxidil will work, but exactly which form, which dose is perfectly tailored for you? Something to think about.